I just want to introduce myself. I'm Rob Arnold. I'm the executive director here at Poets House. Oh, yeah, thank you, Tova. That's so nice. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I was thinking over on the subway over while I was freezing that poetry is an art of possibility. And I think we needed to draw from every ounce of that power today to get here. So thank you so much for braving the cold, braving the wind to be here today. I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, John Vinsler, but I'm just so excited to have you here. Thank you again for being here. And by the way, this year marks the 40th anniversary of our opening in 1986 at the old High School for the Humanities. Poets House started with a collection of 600 books in a borrowed home ec classroom at the High School for the Humanities, and now we have over 100,000 books here, and we've been an organization doing performances like this for 40 years. So give it up for Poets House, and give it up for my colleague, John Vinsler.
Hello, thank you everyone for being here. Yeah, crossing the frozen tundra of lower Manhattan. So we're gonna have a quick Q&A with Anne Waldman and Noland. I'm being very attentive to the time. So we're gonna have about a 15-minute conversation so we can begin two sets promptly at 3 o'clock. Let me introduce you first before we get started. Noland is a poet, artist, and filmmaker from New York City. Her publications include Authentic Artifice, Newest York Press, 2018, Threadbare from 2025, and The Velvet Wire with Anne Waldman from Granary Books in 2024, prominently featured upstairs in the exhibition. And that can also be found in the collections of Beinecke at Yale, the Getty, the Library of Congress, the New York Public Library, and elsewhere. Noland has worked internationally at the intersection of music, poetry, and voice, fusing realms of jazz, noise, rock, improvisation, and ancient poetical text. Noland was a 2024 to 2025 Roulette Jerome Foundation commissioned artist, Lev Roulette. And in May 2025, premiered her sonic poem work, Double Twilight, at Roulette Intermedium. It can also be found on YouTube. Internationally recognized and acclaimed poet, Anne Waldman has been an active member of the Outrider experimental poetry community, a culture she has helped create and nurture for over 4 decades as writer, editor, teacher, performer, magpie scholar, the best kind of scholar, infrastructure curator, cultural and political activist. Her poetry is recognized in the lineages of the Beat, the New York School, Black Mountain trajectories of the new American poetry. She remains a highly original, open-field investigator of consciousness, committed to the possibilities of radical shifts of language and states of mind to create new modal structures and montages of attention. We need new montages of attention right now, too. Her work is prophetic, multidisciplinary, energetic, passionate, panoramic, and even at times fierce. Welcome, Noland and Anne Waldman. Welcome back, Noland and Anne Waldman. Can they come up here? So, we're going to have just a. It's not the beginning of a conversation because this is our closing event for this exhibition. We had an opening event last year, but this isn't. I think this is the end of this part of our conversation, and both of your works will remain in our collection and will be archived. With us, including this event tonight. So there's a few things that this exhibition does, and one is it's a document of the long-running intergenerational collaboration between the two of you, and also it is a document of poetry in an expanded field. I think about poetry and performance and poetry in other media. And working on the exhibition, that was the thing that really stood out for me. So to begin our conversation, I thought maybe I would ask you both how you first met.
The story keeps changing.
It was May Day in New York City. There was a May Day protest going on. What year was it?
2012.
2012. And I was looking around. We were supposed to knock on all the establishments along Fifth Avenue and get people to join us, quit their jobs, walk out. Good luck. and I kept saying, where are my people? Where are the poets? Where are our poet signs? Keep the world safe for poetry and things like that. So, but I noticed somebody alone, kind of wandering with a rose in her hand, and we were somehow lined up. We were in alignment coming down Fifth Avenue. So that, curiosity about this younger person there on that occasion,
So that,
out of a job. No.
That's true. Also, I like to mention that everyone around was sort of wild and energized and, activist energy. But I noticed someone very centered and solemn walking alone just by herself. And I looked, and I was also alone, sort of looking for people. And I said, I think that's Anne Waldman. So I said, hello. I think I gave you a flower. And it was a very strange coincidence. We parted ways. And then about 6 months later, I was hired to photograph a reading that she was doing through another channel. And I said yes. And I also there met Alistair Julian, who was starting work on the Outrider documentary, which I hope you all have gotten a chance to see. It just came out. But so then I began working as a photographer on that project, and spiraled from there.
Because the community, our downtown community and beyond, of course, but is so open, welcoming. There's always something going on, something to go, volunteer with, photograph, be included in some way. It's just quite amazing in that regard. So No Land was quickly in there with all of us.
I think it was very rare it's a rare thing when you feel, someone you would like to know or work with in terms of your energy, for them to not only get a chance to meet, but also then work together is a very big blessing.
So I wanted to ask you about the title of the exhibition that we ended up coming up with. So Mercy-Eyed on the Triple Highway. Did I get that right? What is the origin of that?
Well, it's an amalgam of things, I think. Mercy-eyed, I think, was something I evidently said. We had a kind of triple highway between New York, Colorado, and Mexico, meeting often to work and to involved with various projects that related to communities in those three places.
Tracks the geography of the exhibition then as well.
And then there's films that we don't have here today, but of the wonderful cemetery in Boulder, Colorado, where Ed Dorn, Stan Brakhage, and others, Anselm Hollow people. So there's some more recent footage from that nexus. So kind of between worlds, I would say, often.
I wanted to ask, so again, I think if someone said, if there's one thing you could say that this exhibition is about, I would say it's about poetry and performance, or poetry and kind of an intermedia framework. So I wanted to talk to you about the relationship between poetry and performance. Maybe I'll ask it like this. Does poetry need to be liberated from the page?
Need to be? It's started before the page. So I think why can't they both exist? Why is this always a question? What's the problem in our culture that we're not sonic? We're not, totally sonic in our own lives. And anyway, it's always page or stage. I had a question, one question from an audience. What about page or stage? Well, and I said, well, go into retreat for a lot of years and see what happens. See what sense it, both ends.
Both ends.
Both. Well, I just think that poetry is sort of the spine of whatever medium that I or we work in, there's always a text, even if it's just improvised or coming in the moment. For me, the poetry is always the spine, and then it might take other forms. It might become a drawing, a film. So it's, I was recently speaking with someone here that it's important for it all to be not only strong but true in its whatever form it comes out, and you just kind of see the way it wants to get born. But usually we work from a text first, I would say. Usually.
I just wanted to mention, these various, maybe you could call them spiritual traditions or indigenous traditions and so on. Often you start with the orality. I know in the Tibetan Buddhist world, you hear the text, maybe in another language. You hear it before you then see the text. Then you study the text. You study it in the languages you know. You can become very scholarly in that way, but you're also continuing as a practice to do it orally, sonically, sometimes with a little instrumentation. And then there's that third stage where it becomes more imprinted on you. And I found with certain poets I've worked closely with, Alan would be an example of just his incredible memory. He'd memorized vast amounts of text and things that he loved. So he was that kind of poet, just very much with his ear. But I always use that triad. And also when I was running the program very quickly in Indonesia and Bali, specifically in these temples that would have the back, the secret esoteric room, the middle room where you're suddenly, coming out more into the world, you're interconnecting with other things. In the back room, you're dealing with the little idols, keeping them clean, taking them out once a year for a particular ceremony. And then you come to the exit, really, which is into the space, into public space. You're in the marketplace. I don't mean the money marketplace for poets, but you're coming out in the world. You're bringing all this out. So there is this triad. I mean, I think that's one of the secret things in the Triple Highway, that sense of this progression. My Buddhist friend is shaking his head.
That connects. So one of the things we tried to do in the show with the long flat table is to mimic somewhat, Nolan, your performance environment, which I see we have an actual one for the performance here. So how do the texts that are typed or written operate in your performances, along with the music and the fixity of the text versus the welcoming of improvisation, which I think is part of what you do as well, or response to your collaborators?
Yeah, so much like Anne was sort of describing, the texts keep shape-shifting, and once they become imprinted, as she says, they, much like refrains of music, they will come out in new writings, they'll repeat, they'll change. And then in performance, it's very much about in the moment what is arising. There may be a bit of a roadmap, sort of premeditated, but it's very, depending on the music, depending on what's going on in the world or internally. So I would call it amorphous. And I've really leaned into that because it's actually quite challenging for me to figure out where a poem starts and ends, and it feels much more like a life process, that it's always changing, like a Grateful Dead concert in poetry is my intention. And also having worked with many jazz musicians, learning from their brilliance on the fly. And I'll say about the table, if you saw the one upstairs, that's like organized. I would say the quality of the poetry delivery has much to do with whether or not I've gotten to organize the table or not. Today, I have not gotten to organize it, so we'll see.
Okay, maybe we should transition to our next. We have we're about 5 minutes to 3 o'clock. Should I introduce the musicians then? We
Yeah,
get ready
great.
for that. Okay. So let me
Thank
introduce.
you.
Yeah, Thea. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Shahzad Ismaily was born to Pakistani immigrant parents and grew up in a bicultural household. While he holds a master's degree in biochemistry from Arizona State University, he's largely a self-taught composer and musician, playing the electric and double bass, guitar, and a range of other instruments. Ismaily has recorded or performed with a diverse assemblage of musicians, including Laurie Anderson and Lou Reed, Tom Waits, John Zorn, and many more. He has also composed regularly for dance and theater. He composed the score for the critically acclaimed movie Frozen River, which won the Grand Jury Prize at the 2008 Sundance Film Festival. Currently based in New York, Ismaily has studied music extensively in Pakistan, India, Turkey, Mexico, Santiago, Japan, Indonesia, Morocco, and Iceland. Stephen Taylor has collaborated with Allen Ginsberg for 20 years and has composed music and songs for film, theater, records, and radio. In 1984, he joined Ed Sanders and Tully Kupferberg in performing their seminal underground rock band, The Fugs. From 1988 to 1993, he worked with the New York hardcore band False Prophets, and in 2004 published False Prophet Field Notes from the Punk Underground. That was Wesleyan University Press. Recent works include Don't Hide the Madness, William S. Burroughs in Conversation with Allen Ginsberg, 3 Room Press 2018, Songs of Innocence and Experience, Ace Records 2019, and the Fugs album Dancing in the Universe 2023. First Blues, Music and the Life and Work of Allen Ginsberg is forthcoming from Cambridge University Press. And this is Allen Ginsberg's Harmonium, is that right? That's here, being performed on tonight? Yeah, there's a photo of it in the exhibition, but this is the first time I've seen it, so that's great. And Janice Lowe is a composer of the multimedia theater piece Olio, or is it O-L-I-O? A syncopated citizenry of sun-drenched sable soliloquies, text by Tiembe Jess. She leads the new music ensemble Namaroon and has recorded with Irreversible Entanglements and Brahaja. Thank you all so much for coming again, and I'll hand it over to the performers.
On a poet's lips I slept, dreaming like a love adept, in the sound his breathing kept. He will watch from dawn to gloom, the lake reflected sun illume. When a dream with plumes of flame to his pillow hovering came, and I knew it was the same. Which had kindled long ago pity, eloquence, and woe, and the world a while below wore the shade its luster made. It has borne me here as fleet as desire's lightning feet. I must ride it back ere morrow, or the sage will wake in sorrow. He promised to meet her at Edom Spring, expecting some there'll be no disgrace. So jump you up on me, and away we will ride to yonder far country, and I'll make you my bride. So she jumped up behind him, and away they did go to yonder far country where below. This happens to me at home too when I'm singing. Anyway, he drowns her in the river after asking her to get married, and then she turns into a glowing ball of mercury that's illuminated on the shore. And in the afterlife, she turns into an Ophelia kind of character. And as through this world I've rambled, I've seen lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, and some with fountain pen. The poets, the painters, the musicians remember more eternal things, sweet dreams and nightmares of moons, dogs, sin as separation. I put my trust in the sorcerer, and the ground fell out. I spoke on the battlefield in snow, saw the translucent earth turn to ash, all ash. Pollen, dust, anointed, all aglow, disorder in the breeze. A peonic blink on the threadbare notions, walking the space of a bygone poet. Brief as we in the caverns of cloud, to weep or drown in world, in crown, in pride, in stage, in mortal wave, took an atom of space, opened its center into infinitude, and ornamented it with wondrous art, and the world a while below, pity, eloquence, and woe, a golden flash as brief as we to learn, compassion as infinity. Take them to see the jewel trees and the jewel skies, the secret air dew veil the trickster wove to blind the messenger in solemn cove. All this mystery, magical, magical. All this magical, magical jewel trees, and the jewel skies, and the jewel lakes, atwined, attuned, planetary moons in the moony space. Hour late. Do you hear? Blue diamond Nile sky sing. Such a short time to be here, and a long time to be gone. Was on some far-gone planet summoning virtue all depraved. On a silent thou while speaking in an altered state. He started typing, typing on my face, and from his hand exuded a type fact that could permeate a vast number of mutations. I start to lie. I lie down in another field, traveling to the expulsion of his mind's garden, to the expulsion of the mind's asylum, putting on minds, like putting on airs, like putting on tears, putting on lies, putting on thoughts, like costume skirts to align with the lady sweeping up on the rings of Saturn, the gemstone diplomat counting coin, the poet dead asleep, done with all this dream. Mother in her weeping ancient Orphic, sonic, a massacre on, mystery. Take them to see the jewel trees and the jewel skies, where they don't fuck up the water, kill fish, kill birds, annihilate people for money. Compassion was the practice of infinity. I lit 6 of the 8 nights of miracles, the black dog in my lap shrinking smaller and smaller and smaller until disappeared into a puddle of tears, impermanence, one milagro of possibility, tears in an altar coming down the ice-cold sweep street, down the avenue, immigrants holding prayer, burying saints, praying by the window, Santo, Santo, Santo. Betrayal like a miracle, emerald Christmas, miracle bound, the absence of secrecy. I wanted to share this Diane de Prima poem. I think we need it. It's called The Loba Priestess as Bag Lady Utters Ragged Warnings. Don't cheapen Aphrodite. Don't sell the objects she holds in her hands. Don't demand that she show herself naked. Take the cloak along with her, welcoming folds of the robe. She is bright. She is bright, too bright. You don't understand, can't guess, have never taken off your glasses. These strong and cute stories of Demeter will slay like a boomerang. Don't reveal the eternal feminine. Be careful a little. You are so proud with your careful, tailored ways. Your careful, tailored ways, clipped prose telling of Artemis, of Ishtar, beware. The popular tales you like to spread of Isis will spread like fire, like wildfire. Your gut has proposed itself for calmer usage. Don't invite tsunami, firestorm, Asher, Mother Mamaki. They have kindly robed themselves. Hidden, they are not your toys. Now, illumination, black lightning approximately, with the light arising subdivision in the supreme light naturally on the Bowery breadline, rolled herself into a little ball, glowing mercury, quicksilver trembling on the golden shore. A fish with frogs' lines, guitar harp, outlaw lullaby, mother in her weeping, ancient Orphic, cleaning the insides of flowers. Mal-illumination was subdivision in the supreme light, naturally causing the magicians to work overtime in their unemployment offices on the Bowery breadline, standing neath Saint Salute, very patriotic, running back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge. The de-arrest looked like this, with all of them running back and forth across the Brooklyn Bridge. Testing, mal-illumination with the farmer whose land irradiates, with the wanderer of no identity documents, with the child on the red tape of belted Bible sans prophets, with the prophet who was not prophet, with the misaccusationed and chemicalized eyed by those with no mercy eyes, with the executioner, sly, spy, FBI, child watching helpless, with the oil man dousing foul shame into every small child's chest, with the Mawa Ramapo who got pink Ford paint sludged, washed all over pining prayers, with the cops who found two clouds face down in the river, leader of Ramapo. With the pharaohs on the Bowery holding 21st century commandment tableau. Thou shalt not misunderstand me, with Naomi wise, trusting and innocent, lay down in the river for thousands of years, with the baby's gauzen headdress, tulip aflame, starvation, lasso-eyed, lacerated on radio waves. Is the sound reaching? Is the planet still distant from Naomi's wise stare to the cradle's grave glare of all who were born but can travel nowhere? Take them to see the jewel trees and the jewel skies that hold mystery through utopia, through apocalypse. Stephen, where are you? Calling up Stephen Taylor for our last piece. Go on. It's so funny. Is this my mic stand from home? Because I have the same problem at home. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I thought I fixed it. Well, thank you so much to Poets House and to Anne for her beautiful collaboration, and Stephen Taylor and Shahzad Ismaily. We have a last piece. Stephen will come back later at the end, but this is one of the many one of the many Blake pieces that Alan and Stephen put to music. And it's a very big honor to be able to do this all together. It means very much to me. This piece is called On Another's Sorrow. Oh, did I lose the music now? Sometimes you need a really big table because things go missing on the table. So this is a song about mercy and cultivating compassion, and I think it's time that we really sit with one another's sorrow as much as joy. A practice of moaning at the end. You are welcome to join us at the end. Ready? On another's sorrow. Can I see another's woe and not be in sorrow too? Can I see another's grief and not seek for kind relief? Can I see a falling tear and not feel my sorrow share? Can a father see his child weep nor be with sorrow filled? Can a mother sit and hear an infant groan, an infant fear? No, no, never can it be. Never, never can it be. And can he who smiles on all hear the wren with sorrow small? Hear the small bird's grief and care. Hear the woes that infants bear. And not sit beside the nest, pouring pity in their breast. And not sit the cradle near, weeping tear on infant tear. And not sit both night and day, wiping all our tears away. Oh no, never can it be. Never, never can it be. He doth give his joy to all. He becomes an infant small. He becomes a man of woe. He doth feel the sorrow too. Think not thou canst sigh a sigh, and thy Maker is not nigh. Think not thou canst weep a tear, and thy Maker is not near. Oh, he gives to us his joy, that our griefs he may destroy.
is fled and gone. He doth sit by us and mourn. He doth sit by us and mourn. He doth sit by us and mourn.
It was a happy song in the end. Next up, we have Anne Waldman with Janice Lowe.
Thank you, Douglas Dunn, for coming out. Thank you for our friends at Anthology who are here, all the holy sites of our city, this being one of them. I'm in the Elizabeth Cray room. I worked with her and knew her way back when. And just the incredible layers and synchronicities of our worlds. We're very, very lucky, and we have to remember that we are in a civilization. We won't let it die. So I'll just talk a little bit about this project with Noland, our show, and also work on the Velvet Wire. I think when we met, I was working on this investigation of the great Blake poem, The Book of Thel, Thel. Thel is the unborn who, we meet in a kind of vision of the Vales of Har. She's dancing with her virgin sisters in a world of innocence. And so, of course, you all know Blake's innocence and experience. So it's a very kind of existential question for us now. Are we want to stay innocent and complicit? I mean, we've come, she comes to the mouth of the womb, so there's already an idea, a little glint in the eye of this creature, and has various conversations with elementals. But I did want to just, this is a poem from 1788. I'll read a few lines of it. And I've been working now, coming back to it, on an idea of a musical presentation with parts of the text and then kind of some visual aspects as well. So it's kind of renewed, ongoing interest, teaching a workshop coming up around some of Blake's other work and this idea of the time he was in, and there's very coded things in the texts themselves. For example, the golden bowl and the silver rod, sexual images, but also relating to problems with the ecclesiastical realm at that time. And he being, somewhat of a outlier, on and on about Blake. So I'll just, a few other little notes. And the title comes actually, I'll mention that in an interesting way through Antonin Artaud as well. Dost thou, O little cloud, I fear that I am not like thee, for I walk through the vales of Har and smell the sweetest flowers. But I feed not the little flowers. I hear the warbling birds, but I feed not the warbling birds. They fly and seek their food. But thou delights in these no more, because I fade away, and all shall see without a use this shining woman lived, or did she only live to be at death the food of worms? And then a little note here about, illuminated book in 8 parts. You can just go online to look at the Book of Thel, and composed probably in 88, and then he worked on the book over some years, maybe 1789. Turn of the century, let's see, another note. So you have this 6-page poem. I had a visceral response to the idea of having to choose not to be born, and enjoying the allegorical performative conversation Thel was having with her elementals, the lily, the cloud, the worm, the clod of clay. They seemed to influence Thel's decision of remaining static. And I was interested in the Buddhist idea of the unbornness, rebirth, transmigration of consciousness and the like. Anything is necessarily both a cause and effect. There's no first cause in the Buddhist view. An act is conditioned by something else coming before it. It does not come from nothing. Innocence is not exactly a part of that pantheon. Consciousness carries much karma as a result of actions and deeds, as well as thoughts and emotions. We travel countless rebirths, which may also be viewed metaphorically. Thel was a consciousness with reflexivity and mobility, even when designated unborn. So I think I'll jump into the text and explore with this wonderful collaborator, Janice Lowe, some of the moods. And we're going to start with end time. And a quote from Blake: "Why cannot the ear be closed to its own destruction? Won't come alive ever again. In the mind of end time, it looks like this.
End
Shall
time.
Valu Tabriz eddies and tides. When you wake, observe the unmitigated
Eddies and
trials and
tides.
tribulations of these tossed things. Random it seems, but in end time, less personhood, more ransom, radical sleep in the end time. There is no end of sleep. Multiplying the stars was never easy in end time, doing it by themselves, self-repairing and leaning and learning on the job. Write the reports, sniff out plagiarism, fly your planes with the computer, drones inhabit the end time. Lord, how many kills? In end time, things go static, then still switch off solace. Would you kill another literary form, a ransom more, perhaps sing again when dead always will be saying too many dead? Then carry the corpses around in the mind of the end time. No substitutes, but if you care to try your hand, you may gamble all you have to offer. And what would that be? A mole might do for you, a burrowing animal thing might do for you, a biding time might do for a time, a night, perhaps 12 hours you have for rhetoric before you are released at dawn. Recant, reflect, review, reach out. We have met the enemy, and it is the psychotic karmic flow of our own blow back, blow back. Citadels, Thel leaves ringing. Citadels, Thel leaves ringing, not knowing what they are. Sounds of glee, celebration, a national holiday, or mourning the death of heroes, not mourning the obscure death of heroes, slaughtered in their beds only, but out at night on a mission, goggles lit up to scare a prowler, a lover, a ruined industrialist, a terror advocate on a beat or out on the battlefield that is a control room, thousands of miles away, fighting for our way of life. This is new to Thel, checking out our way of life, concept of bodiless weapon, although she might guess at it. We have symbiogenesis, we have the yogas of the bardo. Life did not take over the planet by combat, but by networking. But now we have apparati to mount a deadly thought on a track to take out a wedding party, to target someone we have never met. And if we do meet, it will be hell of the slough of despond, where people did not heed the pleas of children. Neuroscience says help, solve, way of life when she who has not been born yet is still on the other side. Cave with child handprints. Fingers reach to the other side, then a thin membrane thrums to a spirit world. Other bastions of power on the wasteland that is our metaphysical foundation, empires of the unborn. We visit a moon of Saturn, we contemplate Mars, we circle asteroids with a strange anticipation. We go interstellar, we like the sound of wormhole, it is magic. Thel without footprint, without trace, desiccated, desolate, nothing around, nugatory. Thel who talks with a worm. Thel a figment in the mind of becoming in life, a potential of not becoming yet in mind, just got dreamed up. A proposal is Thel's gambit for one who would be cautious. Caution overrides curious, becoming curious, retreats in the caution mill, will not engage. Thel becoming angel, though not ministering, will not turn forward or turn counterwise, does not want to burn in the night, but the walls of a discotheque close in outside the mind. A stampede stomps down fragile teen bones, crunch and twist under the mayhem. Thel is not mayhem. She eschews the nightmares of stampede, of of mayhem, would not go there, would not enter. Thel is not empire, Thel is a wisp you trusted but hardly noticed, brushed from your eye. And this is the conversation with the elementals. And I call this section Elucidarium. First conversation is with the cloud. The cloud is post-historical. The cloud is deracinated. The cloud is a container of all the animals. The serpent is cloud-like in its sway. The sea anemone shares hiddenness with cloud. Cloud conceals, then reveals. Cloud has upper hand. Cloud forgives, then cloud takes ephemera for totality. Is cloud a male? The cloud is a guide to the human and is seductive. Worm is my puzzlement. When it is infant, the worm is dependent on other, on mother, on poetry. When the worm is infant, it is vulnerable to the elements and biting things. When the worm is infant, it is as fodder, it is as nutrient, it is the plaything and nourishment for the robin. When the worm is worm, when the worm is worm, it is also serpent and scorpion. It carries the insinuation of sexual prowess. It is arousal. It is also weak of will. And when the lily lives, it gives purity to the stations of God. When it falters, the head bows. Oh, hanging lamp of the lily. And the clod of clay is trodden with the cattle's feet. It is a scare. It is what we come to. It is sickly and maternal. And do we live for others, or do we live for ourselves? Documentaries see here the plutonium factory is mandatory memory with accoutrements, puts a hand in a padded sleeve to manipulate poison, now remembers to leap back out the lab door. Exhibit A, don't enter here, it's too verite. Outlook too toxic, planet abandoned hope. No perpendicular blood flow or change of assemblage as unborn, abstract hypothesis notwithstanding. Take a coat off, recombinant feathered rainbow affair, raiment of gods. Fell an uneasy rider, came part way as inquiry, inhalation, close to fading one. Snowflakes on a warm rock arise and die, writ in truth. Serum changes way you relate to reality. Know in future lives you are a fragile entity. How near to death by tech you are with your injected substances, Thanatos, Morpheus, Hypnos, all brothers to sear fell. And they breathe forth a solemn utterance. There is, O daughters, a state where there is neither earth nor water, nor heat, no air, neither infancy of space, nor infinity of consciousness, nor nothingness, nor perception, non-perception, neither this world nor that world, neither sun or moon. It is unborn. That, O daughters, neither coming nor going, nor standing, neither death nor birth. It is without stability, without change. It is the eternal which never originates and never passes away. There is no, and there is, yes, there is an end of sorrow. There is, O daughters, an unborn, unoriginated, uncreated, unformed. Were there not, O daughters, this unborn, originated, uncreated, and unformed, there would be no escape from the world of the born, original, created form. Since there is an unborn, or unoriginated, uncreated, and unformed, then there is an escape from the born, the originated, the created, and formed. Younger than others. Do you know the inexplicable gait of a star? Do you know that someone could inhabit your vision like this? Their brains are so busy building neural pathways, developing language as birds learn songs during sleep. Poetics of ecstasy, a possible escape, diamond matrix, tricks. Diamond, don't abandon the gone worlds. Gaze out on ley lines. Planet lives already gone into Earth. Read them in a book, a scholarly condensary, dust motes in dream. Oh, this was already in the days of the great Water refers to Dido, who abandoned, sails away in the great ship while she laments fate and is stopped from killing herself. A palinode, and in her famous aria, Dido stops the world shuddering to her own grave. Thy hand, Belinda, when I am laid in earth, falling all over again in love. And next we'll move to I thought about serving. Does worms serve? Clouds serve? Lily and clod of clay, are they serving? Serving is a roller coaster in that it may never end. Whom to serve? What ethos? What philosophy? What do you value, believe in, are passionate about? Who to please? Who do you put your life into? Serving with alacrity's vow to stay busy or let them walk over you. Is serving ever easy surrogate to magic? May you serve poetry, old taskmaster. Voices, daughter of the heart, yet to be born. Artaud writes, born gradually, this unconscious that I had like the hardest of the hard before the coffin of my 6 daughters of the heart, yet to be born. As disturbing as Artaud's exegesis is, something palliative, the notion of future redemption, a sense of revelation, the characteristic attribute of the bat kol, the Hebrew for the voice's daughter, heard in instances as the voice of God in a smaller form. This is the phrase Artaud utilized in a section of Fragmentations written while confined at his final asylum in Rodez, France, to describe a list of women, both real and imagined. The list emerged out of an artistically regenerated period after harrowing earlier incarcerations in asylums, repeated shock therapies at Rodez. Artaud, under another guise and name, claimed to be Saint Hippolyte, a pure angel sent to replace a fallen one. End-time prophets were getting to be a bore for some of the community with their end-time pamphlets. Who hands out pamphlets anymore? Although many noticed the hail was growing larger and more frequent and more important to self, egoic, aggressive hail, tornadoes were seen descending from the sky. But there was more to come. Arabs tell of a voice, a hatif, that calls to lost travelers in wilderness, and the Munadi came in solitude of night to poet Nizami when he despaired. Ezekiel hears voices, daughter murmuring like a dove. He hitches her poem to future stars' embryology, sobers small muscles. True bat kol goes mad in human time. In human time. And from Solace, delivered to the condemned hospital after dark. So I have to drag Thel into our world. Solace. Delivered. Undercover medical assignments. I've described my fraught Thel, her wayward eyes, her soft locks that morph sometimes into Medusa coils, her place in herbarium, scriptorium, her echolocation, what she means to those slugging it now below, wounded darlings, her minuscule desires, her conversations with elements, her question as if from a chrysalis, lack of streetwise machination, unbeknownst quivering gaze as she can't be straight in the heat, heart untested, fear of reprisal, but texts me, and as the maiden of my fascination tests me prelingual, she rises in a swerve away from reality, a step away, a jail cell. Who to catch up? She exists as untested instance of conscious immortality. How can it be said she was born on such and such a date? Obsequious clips in motion, overlords. Now she stoops, she bends, she touches the earth, earth her grave site. Maw open in eternal witness, our own dysfunction, labors for all of it, perpetuum mobile, command of language forgotten of what she does know, not even understands. Poor Thel, her wisdom in abeyance. Her sisters languish, waiting to gamble in restorative time, the proverbial garden, now hospital boneyard, reduced to a realm of rest, dementia. How does one not weep in that, have inkling, mind fading? Occasionally she starts up, aha, 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 aha. Aha, aha, imago body, part in the doctor's hand. Aha, aha, her brain, one breast gone. Aha, aha, ah, aha, aha, And then this was vision at close of day. A little bit from the end here. This was my vision at close of day. Farewell, my friend. We are ready. We have traversed the times of day together. Revelators, field riders, adepts, lovers, walking the creel. Matins to Ludens. Ready, could not be more ready to walk. We have labored through many hours. Relevant items of contemplation, scintillating ready objects here just for a day. Gone tomorrow, little maws and creatures you hardly notice, hardly not, hardly hardy, but alive for this day. Cataleptic bodies, see in the light you thought they were dust, not noticing. See in the dust you thought they were light, not noticing. Many flowers open after nightfall and by dawn are wilting embryo, alone, unnoticed. Lily, very pale, in the corner of a fenced-in yard on an island, there at dark. One was open, all of it, a story of a time. If mind is sharp, true, hold historical events in mind, and you will see if you convey the daily symbols, the trials of those held accountable, martyrdom of the torturer. Won't hear that anymore. End time, burden of memory. Never do that again anymore. Perhaps thou might never see. Need see end time in the once pleated grand scheme. There is a fold in the fabric of this universe. Crease. Roll the video back. Once told it could happen again. Repeat. Ad infinitum, mirror image in the next universe. Rehearse the joy that never ends. Everything is rhythm in its own true location. Offer to the approaching days, the approaching hours, the approaching life, the book of fate, the causative, the coming time, the continuum, the days, funestis, the duration, the subjugation, the congregation, the crystal ball, emergence, fruition, futurition, foreseen, the reflexive, the fatal, the embryonic, the next, the moira, the offering, the hidden, the looked for, the morrow, the moving, the post-diluvian, the posthumous, the predestinate, the quiescent, the inconceivable, the probability, the prophecy, the prospects, the remove, the scent, the scope, the are there subsequent hours? Are there days? Are there the subsequent years? The subsequent ages? We need to get it right. The transitive, the ulterior, the close at hand, and the cosmos is perceived in the person of its angel. And the last thing we'll do is AI angel. Cave had no light. Letters emanated. Rays from what? They, spelunkers, make out nymphs with partridges wear the order of the swan. Then in alchemy of nudity and animalia and honor, they marvel as string theory metastasized with its more dark energy, a tentacular direction in the multiverse, revealing themselves. That direction, that cave was sanctuary, laboratory was seclusion. Time and space are always ambiguous, but we know that, they said. We know that, and turbulent and terrifying and all that, an elixir shot in the arm, vision of bandaged angel mouth, our nights, solipsistic bubble. This is Fra Angelico at our beckoning, blindfolded deity on the cave wall, art and meditation in a gold-rimmed universe, and at its center a death mask, tongue with heavy chain. Didn't hear it coming, an enormous plague year born of a bat on another's turf shadow. Didn't see the affinity and staying inside the where were we? Another axis, not enough elucidation, not enough evolutional topical optimization of vibrating continuum to reckon, to bend, to tie, to link to. Meanwhile, firmaments dangle easy and scare an imaginary continuous present where nomadic talismans open like hands, like wings, like lips, like shards on the path, cuneiform inscribed with amity, praise, hope, happiness, love. In every part of the world will know the myths of this time, its lessons of sorrow. This angle of sunlight is the key. Just supplicate the AI angel. Just supplicate the AI angel who guide us to migrants, warm and settled. Really? Thank you so much. Thank you much to Janice Lowe. Thank you to our wonderful tech help. Okay, Stephen Taylor. You can still go dancing with the seraphims, they were called, the virginal sisters. They're still out there waiting to be born.
Let's just finish with a couple of pieces by William Blake, one of which is a sing-along. This harmonium, Alan brought this harmonium back from India in 1962. Bought it in India. Alan bought this harmonium in India in 1961-62. He returned to the U.S. in the spring of 1963. Went to San Francisco, where a poet, Charlie Plymell, played him an album by a hot new folk singer on the scene called Bob Dylan. And Alan was just blown away by this record, particularly Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. He said it made him weep. So that December, he met Dylan in New York, and that was the beginning of a lifelong friendship. In 1965, Dylan gave Alan money to buy a tape recorder and told him to learn to sing Blake, the Gray Monk. At first, Alan used it to record mantra chanting and poetry, improvising poetry, Wichita Vortex Sutra, improvised into a tape recorder. Then he went to the next thing was Chicago '68 Democratic Convention, where Alan said, he told me that he had witnessed the bare skull of police state violence and was completely horrified, and was returning to the East Coast by Greyhound bus when he heard a little voice in his ear singing Blake's Gray Monk, 3 years after Dylan had told him he should learn to sing it. Alan went to his farm in Cherry Valley with a harmonium and sat up 2 nights, setting a couple of dozen of Blake's songs of innocence and experience, and in 1969 recorded that. Barry Miles produced recording of that for MGM Records, and that's the source of all of the Blake singing that we do now. So that's that. What else? There was one other thing. Oh, so Dylan taught Alan that you can harmonize a melody using 3 chords. It's the fundamental harmonic scheme of Western music. If you can do a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord, you can set any melody that stays within its key. So Alan, being as he was sort of hyperactive, immediately wrote a book of songs using 3 chords, and so that fed into the Blake thing. So I guess that is all I wanted to say about this. This is Blake's The Divine Image. It's his vision of the human form as the form of God. Blake told his friend Henry Crabb Robinson, "There is no God but the man Jesus, and so am I, and so are you." So this is about that. Let's try the key of F. Try G. The Divine Image. To mercy, pity, peace, and love, all pray in their distress, and to these virtues of delight return our thankfulness. For mercy, pity, peace, and love is God our Father dear, and mercy, pity, peace, and love is man, his child, and care. For mercy has a human heart, pity a human face, and love the human form divine, and peace the human dress. Then every man of every clime that prays in his distress prays to the human form divine, love, mercy, pity, peace, and all must love the human form in heathen, Turk, or Jew, where mercy, love, and pity dwell, there God is dwelling too. Thank you. Should we do the nurse's song? But what? One more. One more? Well, I was going to do the nurse's song. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's. You can get if you can. I recorded 22 of Ginsberg's songs for Ace Records out of London in 2018, and you can get those online. My name's Stephen Taylor, and you can get the settings. Alan wanted me to do them. He wanted me to finish the Blake. The last thing he said to me, he called me up. Alan called up his friends to tell them he was dying. He pulled, and gave everybody an assignment. He told Anne to take care of me. Make sure, Stephen's not that Swift, you need to take care of him. And he told me, finish the Blake.
Save the archive.
Save the archive, finish the Blake. So I haven't finished the Blake, but he wanted me to complete the songs that he had not set and to record the whole set over again. So I recorded a bunch of them. There's, I think, 22 songs on that record. I think a lot of people who live in this area don't realize is that in England, it's not exactly the land of the midnight sun, but the sun does stay up late. And I remember when I sang this with Alan, it rang such a bell because when I was a child growing up in the north of England, at a certain hour, all the mothers would be calling out the back window to call the children to come home, and all the children would say, "It's still day." So this is a centuries-old complaint, as evidenced in the Blake song. When there we go. Okay, and you can join in at the end. You won't need any cue. You can just do it and sing loudly and harmonize and have fun. When the voices of children are heard on the green, and laughing is heard on the hill, my heart is at rest within my breast, and everything else is still. Then come home, my children, the sun is gone down, and the dews of night arise. Come, come, leave off play, and let us away, till the morning appears in the skies. No, no, let us play, for it is yet day, and we cannot go to sleep. Besides, in the sky, the little birds fly, and the hills are all covered with sheep. Well, well, go and play till the light fades away, and then go home to bed. The little ones leaped and shouted and laughed, and all the hills echoed, 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 and all the hills echoed. Louder. In everybody's head, Alan is 40 years dead, but just remember what he said. And all the hills echo, and all hills echo it, and all the hills echo it, and all the hills echo it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. We have a lot of books for sale. There's some traces of the exhibit that are for sale as well. And I'll be upstairs if anyone has any thoughts. And thank you to John for curating. Thank you, Mike. We've exceeded the circus vibe. And thank you to Poets House and Rob. Thank you.